Hello, Jody here from MethodGrid, Head of Product. I'm going to take you through a demo of our proposed new account level Gantt. So hopefully you can see my screen here. I'm going to share one of our staging servers. It will be slightly slower than the production server, but it will see us through the demo. So in here, I've got a couple of grids. This is a small account with 2 grids here in the library, and I've mocked up a client folder where I've got some projects in there. And I'm going to go into project X here, which is a mocked up delivery grid. Now we wanted to make a portfolio level Gantt to complement our existing Gantt. So each grid has its own Gantt, which I'll open up now. So there we go. This is the standard Gantt for program X there. It's got the normal Gantt tools, normal scheduling tools. If I expand that, we've got the stages, elements and tasks here, and you can see I've set up some dependencies and durations, all the standard Gantt stuff. But in here we've got one grid. This Gantt is related to this project. So we wanted to introduce a Gantt that shows every project within your account. So you can manage a full portfolio. You can filter it down to specific clients if you just want to look at projects relating to certain clients or projects relating to certain activities. And give you an entire overview of the schedule that's going on in your account. So over here, we've got the account level Gantt. If I open that up, you'll see it's the same interface, but now I have all the grids within this account. So if I move this over, there's the grid I'm in, grid X. But if I collapse all of these are the other grids I showed you in the folders at the beginning. So there's my 2 that are in the grid library, and these ones are in client A. And we've added a folder column so you can see which folder these are in. And on this folder, we've also added a filter. So when you're working with an account with hundreds of project grids in, you can organize them by grid labels or grid folders. And I can just show the ones that are in client A. And we'll give you the ability to save these filters as well. So there it is. I can now see everything in this Gantt. I can expand and work with the Gantt as if it was a standard project Gantt. It's just showing me everything in the account. So the top level is now the grid, then the stages, then it's the same elements, stage gates, down to tasks. If I come up to the top level, now crucially, I can now create dependencies between these grids. So between project dependencies. So if I shrink this down, bring this back. So this is the project I was in, project X. So if I want to make a dependency from project X to project Y, I can do that. And I can make a dependency between anything, between the project, so the project end to start, a stage, an element, a stage gate, or a task. Anything that can be scheduled in a Gantt, I can now create cross-grid dependencies. So for instance, if I was going to make a dependency in deploy, deployment plan, and this task here, I can now make a dependency going into project Y. I just can expand till I see the one I want to do it. So perhaps I want to make a dependency between the end of this task and the start of this initiate stage. I can drag and drop there, and it's put that dependency in. Once it's in, it's got the normal editing tools. I can open up and edit, and I can see the predecessors here, and I can add lead and lag, and I can change the type and add new ones as well. I can have multiple dependencies. And I can also work with the dependencies in the table and work with those as well. Let's bring that back. So that dependency has now been added. And if I was to change durations here, it's going to move it out. And then crucially, I can see all the dependencies between the grids in my account. Now, if I go back to project X, it will have added those dependencies into my project level Gantt. If I open this up, I now have project Y. So project Y is now a dependency of project X, so it's now shown in project X. And in the same vein, if I was to open the Gantt on project Y, I would see project X. Important to say that when there's a between grid dependency, we will show the grid in here that it's got a dependency to, but I cannot edit this project Y, and I can't edit the dependencies between them. We think it's important that all that work is done up at the account level, where you've got a full holistic view of everything that's going on. But you will be able to see the dependencies, and you can see how the project you're in is being affected by other projects and other dependencies. So if I want to add another dependency, perhaps to a different grid, I can do that as well. Have as many as I want. I open up the account level one again, shrink it down. Perhaps I want to go project X closure. Shrink this to fit. So there's closure level port, that's an element, and I want to link it to project Z. Perhaps I want to go to a task. Let's go into program mandate. Got a task in here. So there's a task with some duration. I can now go from closure report to this task. So there's an element to task dependency now, and I've got a full dependency chain down each of these grids. And if I go back into X, I will see Z in there as well now. I shrink those all up. There we go. There's my complete dependency chain between those. And if I was to open up Z, I would see X and Y as well. So when I'm in here, I can continue to work with X as normal. But if I want to create dependencies in Y or Z, I need to go back to the account level view. So it adds these grids to the other grids so you can see them, so you get a full overview and you can understand why items are being rescheduled based on dependencies rather than being hidden. You want to be able to see this at the project level and the account level. This does have some impact for access control. So if, for instance, I'm a user and I've got access to X and Y, but not Z, if I go into X and Y and Z, I will still see Z, because I need to be able to see what's going on with the scheduling here, and having it hidden wouldn't really be acceptable, wouldn't work. I just have hidden scheduling going on that would be confusing. So we've decided that you will see Z even if you don't have access to it. You can't go into it, but you will be able to see the items and everything that's affecting the scheduling here. Also to say, if I was then to clone X as a new project delivery grid to have a fresh start, it would remove any cross-grid dependencies. So when you clone a grid, it will remove the cross-grid dependencies and I'd be left with just X. And there is account level Gantt. So it's your standard Gantt you've got in your project, but with every grid, and we'll give you filtering options so you can create schedule reports based on how you've organized your grids into folders or labels. From there, it works just like the Gantt you've already got. You've got export, PDF, zoom in, zoom out, the start dates, everything you need. So I hope that's a useful overview of what we've got coming for the account level Gantt. I'll sign off for now. Bye-bye.